All right, it is time for our very special segment today. Instead of life improvement, we're going to go ahead and talk about what's going on in Haiti. We actually have a very special guest joining us today. She's reporter Kim Nari from Arirang TV. She was there in Haiti, and it's great to see you here in the studio. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. Thank you.
All right, so first off, it's great to see you here safe and sound. Now, we've seen the disastrous scene in Haiti. It's been all over the news. We've been watching it every day. You were there for more than a week to cover what's going on there. Can you tell us first how you got there?
Well, actually, it was really difficult because there were no airport operating in Haiti since it is damaged by the earthquake. So, first, many humanitarian aid teams as well as media reporters had to actually fly to Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, the neighboring country of Haiti, which took about 20 hours of flying from Seoul.
Right.
And then they had to take a car or ride a bus, which took about 8 hours to actually reach to Port-au-Prince in Haiti, the quake-ravaged city.
Wow, so it took you over a day to actually reach the site.
Exactly.
Right. So when you arrived there, you saw everything, the streets that have been damaged in the earthquake. And we've just seen it through TV, but you actually saw it through your own eyes. What did you feel? How did it feel?
Well, to be quite honest, when I first arrived, it felt like I was on a Hollywood movie set. I'm just saying it's because it just did not seem to be real.
Right.
Along the road, every single buildings were destroyed or at the very least severely damaged. Thousands of homeless people were out on the street with no place to go, sleeping unprotected at night.
Right.
And I cannot really forget the smell. There was strong scent of death filling the entire city.
Right.
And even though most dead bodies were cleaned up by the humanitarian aid teams from around the world, I actually did see one corpse laying on the street, and it was a little boy, maybe about 10 years old. And I cannot fully describe how I felt when I saw him, but the image is very strong.
Right.
And I could only think that boy too had a life and a dream, and it's just very sad to see how these people had to lose their lives in this horrible disaster.
Right. It definitely, I think it's different hearing from someone who was actually there on site. And, we've been hearing a lot of reports. There are some conflicting figures, but so far, do we know exactly how many people have lost their lives in this disastrous earthquake?
Well, the latest updated figure stands at more than 170,000 people, and that came from the Haitian President René Préval, who declared the number last week. But the death count is most likely to increase as new victims are being found every day. And some reports actually says now the number exceeds 200,000 people, the death toll. And there are 300,000 are in the hospital being treated.
Right.
And more than 1 million are homeless now.
Right, right. Did you even have a chance to talk to some of the victims there?
Well, yes, I actually did. Wherever I go on the street, they've been following around, asking me for food or water, and they're just that desperate. And some asked me to use them as a translator or a driver for maybe $10 per day. They were just asking for any jobs.
Right.
And literally they have lost everything, and it was very painful to see. And I was at the hospital in Port-au-Prince to meet up with the victims there, and I could only see the wounded and some suffering from serious injuries, no limbs, crushed legs, and many of whom that are suffering tremendous physical and emotional pain.
Right.
They were just laying on the ground outside a hospital because there were no enough space for doctors to look at them. And some victims told me about the stories how they lost their mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters just right in front of their eyes. And I just can't imagine how that must have been for them.
Right. Well, this is my personal question, but how did you actually stay there? Did you have because everything's been devastated basically, so did you have a place to stay or?
Well, I was actually helped by the Korean humanitarian aid team. They stayed in this open lot, and it's just empty lot. There's nothing. There's no bathroom. There's no shower. There's no home, nothing, and we just slept. Well, I slept in the car, and
Oh, wow. So not even tents.
no even tent. Well, I should have
okay.
prepared, but I was so in a hurry,
Right.
and so I didn't have a tent. And
Right.
but the aid workers, they stayed in the tent, and there were no food, so we had to actually. I live off with chocolate
For the entire week that you were there?
exactly.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah.
So you were actually living with the people there.
Right, but I really can't complain because I mean the Haitians there, they're going under tremendous
Right. It's not just a week for them.
exactly.
Right.
It's just their life and their future. There's no future for them.
Right. Right. Well, it is definitely heartbreaking to think about what they are going through, their physical and mental pain. But in the midst of all of this, we do hear that the survivors are slowly resettling.
Well, the humanitarian aid workers from around the world are cleaning up the rubble continuously, and people are slowly returning back to a somewhat normal life. And before I came back to Korea, I witnessed the residents starting to build street markets from the rubble, and buses and taxis are now running, and the gas stations and grocery stores are again operating, even though the price is just ridiculously
Right.
high. And although there aren't many products to sell, and people have lost everything, including money, so it's really difficult for the
Right.
market to run. But so most people have no hope, and I actually talked to people who were wandering around outside the presidential palace. Have you seen the presidential palace?
No, I haven't.
Just the picture, if you see the picture, just it's very heartbreaking. And but many people were outside there just wandering around, and when I asked them what they're going to do, they just said, well, we don't have nowhere else to go. There's no school to go. There's no work to go. So they're just killing their time outside. And at night, they're just looking for a safer place to sleep, which is mostly just on the street. And I would think that it's safer to sleep outside than
Right.
inside, because whenever aftershocks come,
Right.
they're still scared of the remain buildings to be
Right.
collapsed. So
Right. Well, speaking of aftershocks, there was one big one that happened while you were there.
Right.
How did it feel? You were there to experience it.
Right.
Right.
Yes. I was awakened around 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was sleeping in the car, and it was the biggest one with 6.0 magnitude. I didn't even know it was number was 6.0,
Right.
but all I could feel was the ground swayed and shifted, and I felt like riding atop a wave. And
Wow.
so imagine entire city just
Right.
rocked like that, and I saw buildings shook violently as people started to run into the street, panicking, screaming, and fearing for their lives. And afterwards, I experienced 2 more aftershocks, but I guess I was kind of used to it. Yes.
Wow, after one. Like you mentioned before when you said that it was like entering a Hollywood movie site. I think that's what, a lot of people would feel, that it's so unreal.
Exactly.
And, experiencing something like that firsthand. I'm sure, of course, you were there for work, but it was probably a lasting experience for you.
Yes. First of all, first thing I thought when I was in Haiti is just, okay, I need to cover this story. I need to shoot as much as I can
Right.
to show the world and everything. But as time goes by, I was just one of them. I was just
Right.
mingling with them, and I felt their pain. But still, I can't say, I completely understand
Right,
them.
right.
They're in just horrible situation.
Right. Well, you will join us again tomorrow. Can you tell us a little bit about what you'll talk about tomorrow?
Tomorrow I'll talk about mainly about the Korean humanitarian aid workers, including the special search and rescue team. I've been following them around to just hopefully see them pulling out survivors
Right.
from the rubble. But unfortunately, they were kind of too late
Right.
to find even one. But yeah, I'll be talking about the mission.
All right. So Kim Nari will join us again tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great rest of the evening, and we'll talk again tomorrow.
Thank you for inviting.